Big news for John Curtis Christian earlier today as they announced the hiring of a new boys basketball coach. As you know, Mike Kreitzer, coaching for 28 years, stepping away. He'll work in administration at the school. And much like with their women's program, the hire of Tamika Johnson, John Curtis went and got himself somebody with tremendous experience at the next level, returning to high school to lend his outstanding wares to a really good institution. And it's a pleasure to welcome him to the show now. Coach Bill Lewit with us on All Access. And, Coach, first of all, thanks for joining us, and great to have you with us. Congratulations on the new job.
Thanks, Ken. I really appreciate you having me on. It's kind of neat to be back in the city, and appreciate the opportunity to talk to you tonight.
Well, it's interesting because you know the city pretty well, having worked at University of New Orleans, as we know, previously back in 2009. And, of course, you worked at Northwestern State, too. And Mark Schlesinger worked at both of those schools and continues to be the head coach at the University of New Orleans. So I guess that was part of the attraction, having been here, done that, right?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, when I first came here, I was a head JUCO coach for 14 years, and breaking away from having my own program, it was going to take a special place. And Joe Pasternak and I had a mutual friend, Dr. Joe Carr, that connected us. And I came down here under the premise that we're going to try to build something pretty special at New Orleans. And Joe was a young, hungry coach. I was probably 7, 8, 9 years older, and he offered me the opportunity, and it was 9 weeks into the job, they say we're dropping to Division III. So you talk about rolling through adversity, and only coaching 1 year in the Sun Belt, and the following year, you know, through an independence year with Joe, and then he moves on, and Coach Schlesinger's come on and has revitalized the program beyond imagination, and deserves a lot of credit for what he's done with the Privateers.
Both of those guys, really good coaches, really good men. Joe was put in just a terrible situation, just some horrible decision-making that took place at that point in time. But to see where Mark has it now is certainly extremely encouraging. And, of course, you had tremendous success at Cecil College as well, winning a national championship. And certainly Tennessee Martin comes to mind as well. You've had a lot of experience at the college level, so the question is obvious. Why return to the high school ranks at this stage?
Yeah, that's a question I have to answer a lot in the last 24 hours. And, you know, this wasn't something that was in my long-term plans or in my vision. But at the same time, it's John Curtis. It's New Orleans. It's a program that has a rich tradition of success across the board in all sports, not to mention the academic programs and the type of student athletes this school has attracted. The Curtis family is a remarkably well-known family that values all the right things about what high school athletics and student athletes should be about. And just the opportunity to come into a terrific city with talent, with just a sports type of and cultural type of area that is really, really entertaining, and not to mention coaching at a premier athletic high school. And, of course, being a head coach, you know, after being an assistant coach for 11 straight years at 3 different places, and being able to grow my experiences both as a coach, a leader, a mentor, and overall knowledge of just everything, it's just, I thought it was the right time. Coach Kreitzer done a remarkable job, and for him to move in a different position, and Coach Curtis and Coach Hebert and the staff here, for them to reach out to me and check on my interest, it was just kind of the right time. And I just thought there's a lot of room for growth on the boys basketball side, and I just hope I thought the timing was going to be ideal for me.
Visiting with Bill Lewit, the new head boys basketball coach at John Curtis Christian School. And you mentioned JT and Christy. They're really good people, and I'm sure that was part of this too. How did the process start? Did they contact you? Did you apply? Or how did this get started in the first place where you became tied to this job?
Well, it was kind of an innocuous situation. You know, it was, hey, you know, what's going on? You know, and I've known Coach Hebert, and you want to call him back on your phone? Oh, are you there? Is anyone there?
Yeah, I'm here, Bill.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Bill.
I'm sorry.
That's
I thought I lost you, so I started talking.
Oh, no problem.
Yeah. Okay, where did I leave you?
Just talking about how you ended up there, and if they initiated contact or you initiated contact.
Yeah, no, exactly. No, I found out that there was about to be an opening, and they contacted me and just said, yeah, just checking would be your interest because we might have a situation that's fluid here. And I'd say, well, when you get more confirmation, I think I'll think more seriously about it. And that's kind of how it went. And just just getting a chance to be a head coach again, and then knowing it's at John Curtis in a great city with a program that can win and has been successful and has the type of student athletes that I would like to coach. I just thought that was something I needed to think about. Yes, when I was in Division I, was I sitting here saying, hey, I want to go back to being a high school coach? I had a coach at the high school level, but I've been on 27 straight one-year contracts. So this was an opportunity here to be a head coach, following a program in a school and a coach that's done a great job. I thought I could build upon. I didn't want to pass it up. Not many times do you have to, where people contact you for prestigious jobs. A lot of times you may get a contact or interest about a job. It's not a very good job. This is a good job. And for them to contact me and have some interest in me, I had to take a very, very hard look and serious consideration. And once I just started thinking about it, I felt almost foolish for thinking about it. It's almost too easy to have to think hard about it, if that makes any sense.
Sure it does. Naturally, you have some familiarity with the fact that John Curtis plays at the highest level in Division I, and the Patriots play in a storied league now. It's obviously known for football, but it's also known for basketball with some terrific teams and a whole bunch of schools that have won state championships. Everyone has at some point in time in that league, and some institutions that are similar too. So I got to believe that particular league is some attraction to the job as well.
Yeah, I grew up a Catholic, and I've always loved Catholic. Everything from CYO to high school leagues, the Washington Catholic League, and I'm from New Jersey, but the Washington Catholic League I've recruited out of, the Baltimore Catholic League I've recruited out of when I was at Cecil, and then watching the Catholic League here is just the games are so spirited, they're so competitive, there's so much pride, there's so much class, just outstanding coaches and players at all levels, even if they never played college athletics after. Suiting up in a John Curtis uniform or Brother Martin uniform or St. Aug's uniform, even if they're just playing in that moment with so much pride and so much competitiveness, and just seeing the coaches how they operate their programs and instill it almost is. And I'm a big fan of just athletics in general, everything from playing it to coaching it to watching it. Recruiting it, and just watching watching everything from the Baltimore Catholic League, the Washington Catholic League, those New Jersey Catholic leagues I grew up in, and then being here in New Orleans and just seeing and I went to a lot of football games, even when I was at Northwestern State, went to the high school football games, and it's just something that heck, I could see myself being part of this, and that was reflected in my decision as well. Just thinking back and watching these moments of great competitiveness and great level of sportsmanship and coaching and pride, and watching these kids aspire to win at that moment and hopefully propel themselves to bigger and better things athletically and academically for them.
Interestingly enough, John Curtis is known for football, but the fact of the matter is they've been a powerful force in track and field for many years, a powerful force in baseball for many years. We all know about the girls basketball program that's won 4 state championships in succession, and girls track and field as well. It's a well-rounded sports program. And then there's boys basketball, which has had success in the not-too-distant past. What's it going to take to get the program back to that level? Won a state championship in 2012, went to the finals in 2015. From what you see already and where it's at right now, what needs to happen to get it back to a championship level?
Well, I think from everybody always thinks, the very first thing everybody says, oh, you need to get players in there. Oh, you need to get players in. Well, you know what? The people that I've talked to, whether it's internally here at John Curtis or some of the competitors or teams outside the Catholic League that have played them, have said, hey, there's some good players in there. You've got a good foundation to work with. And Coach K and Coach Grayson have done a remarkable job on a year-to-year basis. And sometimes, the record doesn't always reflect that. But I do think it's going to be a year-round commitment. You just take a look at some of the things that John Curtis stands for in terms of working their athletes year-round and allowing them to play multiple sports and developing them in ways where it's important. That scoreboard is important, And I think we have that here already. And I just want to be able to maybe implement a style of play and a level of commitment year round to helping these guys get better. And I do think there's a fine line sometimes between winning and losing, and certainly between being a state champion and being a first round loser some years. It's just a fine line. So we just want to be able to develop a consistent level of basketball where the guys are coming up through maybe a grassroots program and coming through some good coaching at John Curtis at the lower levels, and this having that sense of team unity and pride of wanting to culminate everything with possibly a state title. And we know how difficult and arduous task that is on a year-to-year basis, and sometimes even you are the best team, you can't win it. But that's what we want to do, is establish our team as a team that's going to be competitive enough to win a district title and compete for a state title on a perennial basis.
One of the things you brought up is the fact that there's multi-sport stars there, and I think that's a big part of the high school experience. The fact of the matter is that a very small percentage will go on to play at the next level in any sport, and JT has always championed that, and there have been quite a few guys that have crossed over from football to basketball over time. Realistically, I know you want to build your program around 365, 24/7 basketball players, but the overall experience of playing more than one sport, I think, is important, and I'm sure you will work in concert with JT with football players that play basketball as well.
Oh, that's easy for me and natural because I played 3 sports in high school. I played football, basketball, and baseball. I was a seasonal athlete. And in the summer, I'd always implement summer league basketball and summer camps, and obviously baseball. Played in the baseball summer leagues, and then always be training, especially toward the end of summer for the upcoming football year. So that's easy for me. Then I went to college, and it was unique that I'm still to this day the only player, student athlete in school history where I played at Salisbury University in Maryland to play football and basketball all 4 years. I'm the only one to have those combinations to do it for all 4. So that's an easy thing for me to do because I've done it, and and also all the research shows that for athlete safety and for development and cross training, it's best for them to play more than one sport. But I do agree. I've been coming from Division I. I came from junior college where I was playing and coaching guys that were playing year-round basketball, and I'm not opposed to that as well. But I am open to that, to that type of thing. Not only open to that, I welcome it. And that same token, I welcome the athlete that trains year-round for one sport, as long as they're able to implement it with breaks, and we want them to get exposure, we want to develop. That's one of the things I was able to do at Cecil is we built the program because the players were able to come out of there with college degrees, graduate, improve their game, improve their bodies, and get scholarships. So the more guys were able to help kind of develop. And I told the group last night when I met them, hey, some of you may aspire to go play on in college, whether it's Division I, II, or III, and just want a chance to play college athletics. Some of you just may make this your best experience as a high school athlete, as a basketball player, and may never play any sports in college, and that's fine as well. We just want this to be a really good experience for you where you become a proud alumni and come back and support our teams and be prideful that you were part of something winning and part of something bigger than yourself. So I've had a very, very broad base of athletic experience that I really enjoy just watching players play outside of basketball as well.
Bill Lewit with us for a few more minutes, the new head basketball coach on the boys' side at John Curtis Christian School. I'm sure you've been to the lower school campus and you've been in the gym. It is a small, tight, confined place. Do you look at that as the potential for being a really big home court advantage?
That would be great. I was one of the things that I've always noticed was the great Catholic League's fan support, and the student bodies come out and they're very spirited and they give their team a great lift. And anytime you can come into a smaller venue, then that's going to probably multiply the intensity of the game just because of the old density-intensity rule. And hopefully our student bodies comes out and is proud to watch our team play a certain style, a certain pace, certain level of sportsmanship, and then, of course, be successful. We want to play a style where it's just fun to watch and our fans can back us, and we can have a very, very distinct advantage when it comes to playing at home, and then, of course, developing the toughness and the mentality to play on the road. And, being a former football player, I always knew my basketball coaches expected a certain level of toughness and physicality and ruggedness and competitiveness coming off the gridiron. And that's the same thing I'll expect from our guys that are coming hopefully later than sooner, if you know what I mean, because I want to see them, be crowned state champions again for the 28th time, and then join us when their bodies are ready to make that transition. And growing up in New Jersey, our rule, we would always finish our season unless we made the playoffs on Thanksgiving Day. We had the longest rivalry in New Jersey State history, Red Bank versus Long Branch, and that would be a Saturday morning game at 10:30, and then 11 o'clock the next day after Thanksgiving, I would be playing basketball, first basketball. Because in Jersey, you didn't start your first basketball practice till the day after Thanksgiving.
And then finally, I mean, when you look at the grand scheme of things and you see where things are right now, basketball has really changed and used to be about the big man, hasn't been about the big man for quite some time, really on every level. And that's probably a good thing because there are not that many bigs on the high school level anymore. I remember when I was in high school, we had all kinds of 6'5" to 6'8" guys, and you don't really see much of that anymore. But the game has changed to become more of a guard-oriented game anyway, hasn't it? And is that a big part of what you like to do?
Yes, it's a very good point, Ken. And I'll say this: even if they are 6'8", 6'9", 6'10", 6'11", you know where they want to play and you know how they want to play nowadays. Like you said, on the perimeter with guard skills. They're not necessarily going to play, the way Akeem Olajuwon or Patrick Ewing or David Robinson and guys like that played. They're going to play more face-up and guard-oriented. As good as Anthony Davis was here for the Pelicans, I mean, he's now expanding his game where he's a three-point threat and face-up as opposed to just being a back-to-the-basket guy, because those guys like Shaq are not around that much anymore. And that bodes well. We want our guys to have universally the same skills. We even do want our guards to be able to post up if need be, if there's an advantage. But at the same time, we want our bigs to be able to have skills where they can shoot, pass, and dribble on the perimeter and think and make good decisions. So, yeah, I do think that bodes well. And it does, there's no question we do want to have some size because that can mitigate and make up for a multitude of sins. At the same time, as UB Brown always says, shooting and that three ball can make up for a multitude of sins. So if we can do that well and be fundamentally sound and stay within our system and being in great shape, I think we can. I think we're blessed here with enough athletes that can, we can field a competitive team this forthcoming season, hopefully in the future as well.
Well, a very solid hire by John Curtis Christian, a guy with enormous experience and enthusiastic and back in New Orleans, and great to have Bill Lewit back with us at John Curtis. And listen, Bill, thank you so much for the time tonight. Welcome back to New Orleans. Nothing but the best at John Curtis Christian School.
Well, thank you for having me. It's a great place to be. I've been so impressed here with the commitment level to athletics and the student athletes they serve, and look forward to catching up with you again soon, and look forward to also saying hello to the people in New Orleans.
Real pleasure, Bill. Thanks again. You hear?
Thank you.
That's Bill Lewit, the boys basketball coach at John Curtis Christian School.